Well, Charles, for your first day back, I wanted to invite you to experience the future of garbage.
It's just amazing to me on this trip. I can now reveal where I was in a second, but you come back to New York, and the standard line that these idiots, these simians, who are running, pretending to run the city and the state, the country, say this is the greatest city on earth and all this kind of stuff. I was in Milan at the airport. Then I went to Tbilisi in Georgia, Batumi in Georgia, Istanbul in Turkey, and actually to a very interesting place called Bodrum on the coast of the Aegean Sea in Turkey. Back to
You didn't go to San Simeon, really run by simians?
Yeah. But the point is that, particularly in Turkey, which if you were just doing a little bit of homework and thinking about going there, you would expect it to be kind of like Cairo, miserable, that is, falling down, messy, but it's really beautiful. And the streets, in the center of town, it's ancient, so the streets are all windy and strange and stuff like that, but the highways are fantastic. And the airport and infrastructure to and
How
from
does Turkey get money, oil?
Well, it's a big trading, you have to cross, if you want to go from Europe by sea on the short route, you're either going to go through the Mediterranean and up, or you're going to go down the Red Sea and get killed by the Houthis. So there's a lot of shipping. It's a cross point between Europe and Asia, and it's an ancient place with a lot of very interesting museums. And
did you get to hang out with Erdogan?
Hell no. But but I come back here, and last night I arrived at the airport in Kennedy, and it was actually pretty straightforward. It was 5 minutes through customs, and
but it's still a disaster over there.
It's disgusting coming into this city. Instead of all these task forces and fucking Adams went to wherever it was, some conference on rats.
What?
Down to Colombia.
To get some advice on what to do with rats.
Here's a basic idea. Get the streets fucking clean.
Right.
Get the bums off the street.
Right.
Encourage businesses to come in here by lowering the cost of government and actually having law and order. But that's not something we're for. And hence the art department came up on its own with this brilliant poster. The Merchant of Menace, this judge in one of the many Trump trials, he's an ignorant buffoon, a dangerous, ignorant, conflicted buffoon whose daughter is making millions off the Democrat Party, and obviously he and his family have mammoth conflicts of interest. Whatever happens in the trial, unless it's dismissed with prejudice, which it probably won't be, whatever happens in the trial, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the jury acquitted him and the judge said, fuck you anyway.
Right, there's a jury override, I forget what it's called.
Right, and so this trial, and there's a columnist who, more often than not, does a really good job, Michael Goodwin at the New York Post, has a piece which expresses some of my own views independently on his part, that this trial is actually an indictment of the
justice.
There's no justice in New York City and state and country. You have the president and meritless fartman conspiring to, on the one hand, allow a buffoon to get up at every single press conference at government expense and lie his ass off. Here's a nice look.
Talking about Joe? Ooh.
Yeah. Is that man pregnant?
I think there's something wrong with that person's feet.
Well, there's something wrong with his stomach. It was like...
That was not a good...
It was a large stomach, and of course, we're not going to say exactly what time it is, but it's well past getting up time.
Not if you went to sleep an hour ago.
Well, probably went to sleep 2 days ago, for all we know. But here you have the U.S. government conspiring, because I think if we could see the actual email and other correspondence among the group that's trying to get Trumpy in all these trials, we'd see that this is a coordinated assault on the electoral system financed by public funds to try to keep this buffoon in office, so that the guilty conspirators, and it is a conspiracy, I think, of people who shoved this douchebag in February of 2020 by clearing the deck, clearing the field, using Jim Clyburn and his contacts, to sweep all the Democrat contenders out and put the buffoon in. This is a criminal conspiracy to make sure that the public at large doesn't appreciate the degree to which the Clintons, the Bushes, the Obamas, and others have been exploiting the trillions of dollars in public funds that course through the government system and get stolen, frankly, by fake charities, by unprincipled consultants and lobbyists, by crooked politicians and their families. And so on the one hand, we have Trump facing in New York a legal process in which no crime was asserted.
But he also is changing the rules. He's saying you don't need to be unanimous, pick one from column A, one from column B.
But the starting point is, in an indictment, you must state a crime.
Bill of particulars.
There is no statement of a crime in here. So all these idiots who are talking about, Trump will be convicted. You can't be convicted
of a non-crime.
Of a non-crime. I mean, so
watch.
Well, I'm just saying, no, you can't.
Comey says he will.
Comey.
He went on the news to say.
Comey's an idiot.
He's obviously nervous, Charles.
Right, he's an idiot.
But this is a whole. See, when
should we get him some Legos? We're around the corner from Legoland.
Yeah, we could get him the Millennium Falcon. They had something over there that was like $895. I don't know who's buying those. No,
Jason.
I don't know who's buying those Mega Million Lego sets other than James Comey. But I mean, wasn't that so overt, Charles, that he's going on the news warning people not to vote for Trump and saying that there's no way that he's going to get acquitted? I mean, frankly, I agree with that, given the fake sham thing they've set up. But
especially, Alina Hubba Hubba had the comments that were published, I think, today, that the jury should have been sequestered over this weekend.
Of course.
It wasn't. So, the one thing we know many things, but one thing on this issue that's important to understand is the people who decide who gets aired in mainstream media, whether in TV, movies, magazines, books, and papers.
Who wins the Emmy?
And they'll get the participation trophies. These people all are Democrat, 99% Democrat, if not 100. And so they have a campaign going, rhinos and Democrats, I should say, which are fundamentally the same. They have a campaign going.
But wait a minute, let me just add to that, because it's all right if you want to be a Democrat. I look at somebody like Jonathan Turley, who considers himself a Democrat. The problem is you're talking about people who are traitors, liars, cheaters.
Right. I don't think you can say when you're committing treason.
Yeah.
I don't think it's relevant what political party you are. I mean, you are an unindicted criminal.
Exactly.
And now, actually, on that subject, we have Handsome Dan, the Yale mascot.
That dog?
That's the Yale mascot, bulldog.
Isn't it a British?
It's Handsome. Maybe. But you have this recent filing by the Justice Department in the Hunter Biden, I think it's gun case.
He's in trouble.
Well, saying the U.S. government under oath saying that the laptop is real.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Isn't it?
Shouldn't we go back into history, use the time machine, and say, now, wait a minute. You guys, what's his name?
Adam Sharp?
Not Adam Sharp. Leon Panetta and Brennan and all
the 51. Yeah, the 12 Brookings fellows out of the 51 intelligence officers who signed the fake letter.
With Anthony Blinken coordinating the production of said letter. I mean, I think we talk here about you're politically unelectable if you're a felon. I think these people have been engaged in an as yet unindicted criminal conspiracy, and one of the penalties they should suffer if convicted,
robot pants,
is having to wear robot pants with no zipper.
Losing their security clearance.
No. Having their pensions canceled to settle, in part, the cost of prosecuting these people and the damage that has been caused to the country and the world by this relentless assault on the Constitution. Because the uninformed person, first of all, you and I like to talk about politics and history and finance and stuff like that. We are a small percentage of the population.
Yeah.
This weekend, properly, Americans are, it's not a, when people say happy Memorial Day, there's nothing happy about Memorial Day.
Right.
I mean, it's a very important,
the fallen.
Well, I think it's a very important, sobering holiday when we should take time. Your father, I think, served in the military. My father served in the military. And people, I did not, you did not, but people who actually serve in the military and in harm's way understand the perils of war and are not sitting around in the main saying, oh yeah, let's have another war.
Right.
Unless they're officers.
Contractors.
contractors or officers who understand that the only way they're going to get
money,
more epaulets and more, a fancier uniform is if there's another conflict,
right?
So they can get more ribbons and pins and stuff like that. And of course, the guys at the top of the food chain in the military seldom are actually in harm's way.
Right.
They're back in the Situation Room. They're back in
DC
the
doing
Pentagon.
whatever.
And I think there's a phrase for militant people with no skin in the game, no risk, chicken hawks. There are lots of chicken hawks in both parties and even independents who are egging us on to World War III.
Yeah.
And had we had a fair election in 2020 where the Democrat agenda of eliminating fossil fuels, crippling one of our most important export industries, that is the energy industry, while at the same time ramping up the demand for electricity, we don't have enough power today, let alone to do what they want to do to accelerate a push towards EVs. If we had those items, this diversity, equity, and inclusion, anti-white racism, frankly, is what's come to be. If that had been out there alongside the idea that this team is going to destroy the healthcare system, destroy the academic system, and also instigate World War III, Trump would have won 2,000 electoral votes out of the 435. I mean, it wouldn't have been close.
One important thing to augment what
you're
saying, Charles, it's the earnings. I'm not one to talk about stock stuff. I don't know anything about this, but I am looking at AI a lot, and the earnings for NVIDIA came out and just totally shocked and blew away expectations. I saw something that was saying like 2019 market capitalization of NVIDIA, it was like, on a list, but it was like 19, 20, not the biggest company in the world. And then now it has exceeded Saudi Aramco.
Right. Really?
Yeah, in market cap, because the stock has gone up so much, it's worth like $1 trillion or something.
Much more than $1 trillion.
It's number 3. It was Microsoft, Apple, and then NVIDIA.
It's going to be in
top
trillion plus.
3. So, but the thing I'm getting at is that, earlier MBS had announced this whole crazy city that they're building that's supposed to be a straight line,
right,
because the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund wants to diversify.
Right.
We're right now, because you mentioned electricity and EVs, I think an even larger draw of electricity is going to be AI, because it's running constantly. People with EVs are sometimes parked at their house. Some of them are charging on solar. When you have a gigantic data center running all of these incredible NVIDIA H100 processors, and everybody's getting more ChatGPT-4 and asking that thing if George Henry Swigert was a paperclip Nazi or just a psychopath, it really taxes the system and uses a lot of electricity.
Right, and I think we're jumping around in topics, but AI will create some jobs, but if harnessed, in particular in the government sector,
already happening,
should gut employment. You can't, of course, in the public sector because it's unionized.
Oh wait, you mean to take over government functions?
Right.
No, they're trying to regulate it and control it to use it against us.
Well, I appreciate that, but if you look at, Musk saying, and other smart people, futurists with skin in the game, saying that AI will eliminate, on balance, more jobs than it creates. I side with that camp.
I think that's right.
Particularly when I think about, for example, just what I went through going through customs.
Yeah, that could be AI.
That process. Now it is actually. It's more and more when you go, they use e-gates in the UK and Dubai and elsewhere. It used to be that you would have.
What do you mean e-gates?
Electronic gates. You go through. There's no human.
But don't you need to get on the plane? You mean unmanned automated gates?
What, to go through the customs it used to be you had to fill out by hand something, answer all kinds of questions.
Right.
And then you had to sweat whether they were right or wrong, and you sign them under penalties of perjury.
Now they just scan your retina and create a clone of you
garbage
in Dubai.
But not just Dubai, in the UK and elsewhere. You think about the number of repetitive jobs that frankly should be eliminated. Buying stamps at the post office. Tell me why that isn't completely I mean, for example, we
I'll
shouldn't
tell you
have
the
to buy.
truth, there's sometimes an expert in that philatelic who can tell you stuff about stamps, but maybe that
I'm
person
talking about
died
buying.
in 1990.
No, I'm talking about just buying to the extent you use snail mail, going and saying
They
buying.
have that automated at the post office for stamps.
Well, there's still a line with 3 or 4 insolent clerks behind it.
Yes.
Desk, and with all these posters saying that if you.
I thought Joe Biden was going to reduce the cost of insolence.
Stupidity. Yeah. But so you look at the process of interacting in the private sector with vendors of services and goods. I had an episode where I had to pay a credit card bill, and some card I have, I forget where it is exactly, and the whole thing was handled by machine recordings, no human.
It's Korean soul food. That looks new.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be spelled S-O-E-L?
I don't know.
Food?
Soleil food. I mean, look, everything.
S-E-O-L, however you spell soul.
I did a lot of walking in Istanbul in particular, and there were not that many empty shops. Everywhere you look
it's
in
so
Manhattan.
much worse than when you left. Over on 8th Avenue, let's cross to the shady side.
Sure.
Over on 8th Avenue, Charles, I was walking there yesterday. Just everything, that block where Diauto Bakery used to be, there's like a bar there, an Irish bar, and just everything is closed on the whole entire block. Guys hanging out, sorry, the only thing that's open is the weed store.
Oh, that's good.
And everybody is hanging out there smoking weed, cutting up fruit and licking the knife. Did you see that?
No, what's that?
It's a woman in the subway, a migrant woman in the subway with
Oh,
one
yeah,
of
yeah, I've
those igloo
seen-
carts,
yeah.
cutting fruit. She licks the knife, goes back to cutting the fruit.
Oh, yeah.
Dirty hands, crapping around with the fruit. So it's not even 2
nothing
or
could
3
go-
years.
Nothing could go wrong with that, right?
Exactly, but I'm saying it's not even 2 or 3 years since, we weren't allowed to walk into a restaurant without undergoing experimental gene therapy. And now this lady can lick your fruit and sell it in the dirty subway?
Here's a guy patrolling with American flags. Now, I thought there's strict rules on how you handle American flags. For example, you're not allowed to let them touch the ground.
Well, this guy doesn't look exactly like a stickler
With his-
for the rules to me.
But yeah, there's dragging the ground with a Bozo the Clown blue hair, probably fresh out of Harvard. They had their commencement on Thursday.
Wasn't it taken over by Palestinian protests?
Yeah, and really sad actually when you think about. I remember my Harvard commencement. You're gonna really?
Very
Asshole.
rude. Exactly. My sentiment precisely, Charles.
You're just like looking at us. Hey, I'm in
Of
a big
course,
car.
that's not somebody from New York City. That's some jackass who came here from somewhere who thinks he knows how the city should run.
Speaking of Bozo the Clown, as my friend from Lebanon would say.
Wow. Yeah, see, that woman cannot feel comfortable with that person standing right there, knowing that people are getting lit gasoline thrown on them and maniacs can strike at any moment.
And here we have 7-Eleven has a very interesting approach. They have concierges in front of the front door everywhere.
Well, nobody wants to do anything about that because they know the cops will just say nothing.
Here's an old lady with a heavy coat
Hey.
on a hot day in a black outfit. Poor lady. Probably Eric Adams is out in the Hamptons.
Yeah. He's terrible, Charles.
Nice.
Well, so we're going to focus, once we get into the First Amendment forum, we're going to try to focus on Judge Merchan, the lawfare. We haven't heard too much commentary from you on, we spoke a little bit about the Norm video, but there's been this incredible dust-up that you maybe haven't had a chance to get up to speed on with Flynn and this stuff that I've been talking about around the court. It's very reminiscent of what was going on before the last election. And so now we're sort of in our third cycle of doing this on Crowdsource the Truth, election stuff. And it seems like they get into this kind of all hands on deck mode where they want to, last time, shut down Crowdsource the Truth and the 120,000 strong YouTube channel by any means necessary, including spending over $1 million in 3 years, suing me through a sham that ties to all the same people that are after Trump. And I've been saying that from the beginning. I know a lot of people thought that was like ridiculous and Jason being self-important. Oh wait, don't we want to go that way?
I think keep going. You want to go by the hotel and over.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just sort of unequivocally clear because my
34th in Madison, out.
That's what I'm saying.
Obviously, Bidenomics is working.
It's doing great. People are going on television saying the economy is doing great. Stop looking at all this closed stuff. You don't know what you're looking at.
Well, the fact that the cost of a Big Mac is up 88%.
I'm surprised not 33.
And I doubt that's because they're putting more real beef into it.
Yeah, you know.
This is nice. What kind of a canister is this?
Canister?
This,
oh my God, that's a lot of booze, huh?
Boca, I hesitate to touch this. Boca Theva.
What is it? Rum. That's a lot of booze.
Bidenomics at work.
Exactly.
People not going, look at this. Out. Maybe they're going to tear this building down.
Maybe it'll just collapse by itself.
Onstage danceware has moved, you think?
Yeah, to another state.
Surprised they don't have a link station here so that homeless people can watch
on
porn.
The internet, yeah.
But you know, and this is, you think about the history of the city. There are pictures that I have somewhere of the young Charlesker going to camp for the first time.
From this place.
From this place, at the Church of the Incarnation, going off to Camp Pequot. And here we have a nice homeless greeter, well stuck in. Another one, well stuck in. But I went off to camp in July after second grade and had the old-fashioned big footlocker trunk.
Steamer trunk, yeah.
Yeah. But next door here
What do you steam in that?
Nothing. You just put all your clothes. Yeah,
I guess for putting on a steamer ship.
Yeah, and it makes it very easy to stack a whole bunch of them
but difficult
space,
to carry.
Valuable space. But this next block up, this is J.P. Morgan's house. Now a museum. And you have two homeless guys over there.
Well, I think JP hasn't been here in a while.
Now, I'm reminded of what that Singaporean taxi driver said to me. You have a homeless problem in New York? Not here.
Yeah.
We ship those motherfuckers out.
Where did they send them?
I don't know. Probably to prison.
Wow.
I mean, they cane you, which
For-
hoits with a thin reed,
Graffiti.
and they open up your back. Each one of those welts is going to open up your back.
Don't do graffiti. I mean, it's easy to avoid.
For chewing gum. You chew gum. Don't even spit it out.
Oh, just chewing it? I thought it was for putting it on the street.
No, just chewing it.
Boy, they really hate it, huh? What happens if you ride a bicycle on the sidewalk there? Maybe I should go there.
You should. Or
I have been there. There's things about it that I don't like.
God forbid you you walk around with a Wrigley's T-shirt on.
I saw a woman eating a sandwich on the subway in Singapore, and I thought to myself, you're crazy. There's signs all over the place. I mean, this was 2009 or 10, but it was $10,000 fine for
Singapore?
eating a sandwich. Yeah, for eating a sandwich on the subway. And this
Must have
woman
been a good sandwich.
Right. I mean, you must be really hungry.
Sandwich.
What are you doing?
Yeah. On the subway.
We've got just another minute here,
right.
Charles, before we head on over to the First Amendment Forum. People can join us there on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth.
What about on Twitter?
Well, you don't get the sponsor exclusive on Twitter because they won't allow me to get paid subscribers on Twitter. But it's a good point that you bring up because that expose of Norm and his obvious quarterbacking of the lawfare business that the merchant of Menace is overseeing has drawn a lot of new viewers. Welcome everybody who's viewing on X, and if you're not following me on X, I'm sorry, Charles, this is a different phone. I haven't programmed yours in there yet. But people can follow at JG_CSTT. And what's interesting, Charles, is out of these approximately 12,000 new followers who saw that video, there's a small number who are quite obviously social engineers, because the really strange thing that happened is General Michael Flynn, who has blocked me for maybe more than 2 years because I asked him some questions about what appears to be obvious financial fraud within their nonprofit, the America Project, and I'm not saying it definitely is. I'm not an expert on the level that you are or that Bob Bishop is, but none of us can really easily explain these anomalies, and it's the type of thing that you think if you ask them about, which I have, there would be a good explanation, but they've repeatedly refused to give that explanation.
Always a strong move.
And then just block me. So the crazy thing that happened was, after all my interaction last week with Felix Sater, General Flynn unblocked me to shitpost on a video about Andrew Weissman denying that he knows Felix Sater. And I think that they're denying this because I believe I've identified a legal problem. I mean, again, I'm not a lawyer.
I mean, this has to be right up there with the dumb ads for this Rohit Agrawal who's talking as the Commissioner of Clean Water in New York.
That was asking you to do what?
That's asking you if you need free legal help to sign a business lease.
Yeah,
Nobody's signing a business lease. You want free legal help with bankruptcy filings? I mean, that might be something.
Be useful. But anyway, the general seems very upset about Andrew Weissman lying. Well, he's not upset about him lying. He's upset about me exposing Weissman lying because I think there's something very, very, very important and illegal about the relationship between General Michael Flynn and Felix Sater, and I don't think they want me talking about it. So there's a small number of people who have come onto Twitter trying to disparage the fact that I earn my living by running a subscription video service, and people who like Crowdsource the Truth can keep it going by becoming members on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth or any of these other subscription services. So that's called sales.
Right. You like
Begging
to do that?
is when you lay in the street and ask for money in exchange for nothing. Shilling is when you lie on behalf of somebody else and get paid by them.
You mean Corinne Champier?
Exactly. So they like to say that, but they have no evidence of that. And I want to just encourage people to sponsor the show. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Stay with us. Join us on Odyssey or Subscribestar or Patreon.